And the race for the next Speaker of the House continues amid the crisis in Israel. House Republicans are meeting tonight to hash out their differences. And Tuesday, the GOP is hosting a candidate forum before conducting a secret vote Wednesday to decide which candidate to nominate. And Trace, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan and Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise are top choices among Republicans. But McCarthy may be the ultimate spoiler, tipping the party's favor toward one candidate. That announcement could come later this week. Trace?
And maybe it's even him all over again, Christina.
Yep.
Thank you. Let's bring in Beverly Hallberg, District Media Group President, and Sarah Bedford, political and investigative reporter at the Washington Examiner. Thank you both for coming on so much. Speaking of Kevin McCarthy, let's play some sound of him talking about Israel, and then we'll talk a little bit about the speaker's race. Watch.
We've got Americans dead, being held hostage. We've got a president that puts a lid on it by noon. This is not a time for people to sit back. This is a time to show leadership, be calm, but really give the right direction. We should show the world that we stand with Israel, that we're going to fund their ability.
What about the possibility, Beverly, that Kevin McCarthy lands back in the speaker's seat because of what's happening in Israel?
I think this definitely helps his chances, because the reality is that they need to move forward with somebody as quickly as possible, since decisions need to be made on what's going to be done about aiding Israel. But the other part of this is you need somebody who can work across the aisle, work with Democrats to make these types of decisions. So in some respects, I think this helps McCarthy. I even think it helps the case to say that what happened last week in ousting him as Speaker was perhaps a bad decision altogether. I think it still is a long shot for him, but I definitely think it helps his chances.
Yeah, it's interesting because Senator Lindsey Graham says the chaos kind of emboldens the bad guys. Here he is, and I'll get your take on this, Sarah.
So we need a Speaker of the House. I'll let the House figure out how to do that. But I'm hoping that people who created this chaos in the House understands that chaos in American politics emboldens the bad guys.
Well, he's right on one front, Sarah. I mean, it's very true that the bad guys really do love chaos.
I think that's true. I mean, I find it hard to believe that Kevin McCarthy was the only thing standing between peace and war in the Middle East. But nonetheless, I do think this increased the sense of urgency for the race. But I don't know that it changed the substance. You know, I think the math is still against Kevin McCarthy, even though at the moment he is the candidate for the speakership who has the greatest number of Republicans lined up against him. I mean, only 8 Republicans voted against him last time. 96% of the conference, a statistic he loves to cite, supports him being speaker. But that being said, the math is still not on his side, because most of those, if not all of those 8 members, still oppose him returning to the speakership. And so right now, I think you have the majority of the conference would really be fine with either Scalise or Jim Jordan as speaker. But I think there's a lot of wait and see who will get the advantage. And I think a lot of the dominoes will fall to either Jordan or Scalise.
And let's say it comes down to 2, Scalise or, Joe. What do you think? Do you think that it goes to one of those, Beverly?
Yeah, I think it does, and I think it actually leans a little bit towards Jordan right now, just due to the health issues that Steve Scalise has. Some people have vocalized some concerns. I think without those, he would be a bigger shoo-in. So we're going to have to wait and see. But the main thing is Republicans do have to be almost unanimous on who they choose before this goes to the House floor for full vote. So I think that's something that Republicans realize they have to be on the same page on.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Beverly, Sarah, we'll see you again in a bit. Thank you. Meantime, more live reports on the ground in Israel coming up as we continue our breaking news coverage of the war in Gaza. Sun has risen in the Middle East, and we are coming back at the top of the hour with our continuing breaking news coverage.